What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. Today we're talking about the new Sally Hansen Miracle Gel birthday collection. So this is a new nail polish collection to celebrate the 10th birthday of the Miracle Gel line. Now before we get into it, if you haven't heard of Sally Hansen before, it is a drugstore brand. They have a bunch of different lines, but all of their polishes are 3-free, meaning they are free of 3 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish, and they're also listed as being cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. There are conflicting reports of this online, but on the Sally Hansen website, they do say that they do not test on animals and they do not sell in countries that test on animals. But regarding the Miracle Gel line specifically, I do want to talk about that because I think that the name can be a little bit confusing for a lot of people, and it is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when it comes to nail polish. The Miracle Gel line is considered a gel hybrid. However, I would consider this to be regular nail polish and not gel because it does dry by air and not through a UV or LED lamp. I think that gel is just kind of like a buzzword that some brands use as a way to make it seem like their polishes last for longer. But one way to tell if a polish is actually gel or if it's not gel, even if it says it's gel, is to check the bottle, because if you can see the nail polish in the bottle, if it's clear glass, that means that it is not a gel nail polish because gel cures by light, and if you can see the polish, that means that light is hitting it, and that means that that would be a solid bottle of nail polish. So real gel polishes come in opaque bottles. You cannot see the color inside them. So if you have any confusion about the Miracle Gel line, let me just say it dries by air. You do not need a lamp. It is not technically a gel. But yeah, let me get into the swatches, then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on this collection. Then we can get into pricing, where you can buy these, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today I'm using the Orly Bonder base coat. We'll start off with this shade. It's Sherbert Day, which is a great name for a polish, by the way. And this one is a soft sky blue cream that has a fuchsia shimmer running throughout. And this one is actually a very near dupe to the new Orly shade Ripple Effect, but I would say this one is a little bit softer and dustier of a blue, and I do think that the shimmer in here is just a little bit more subtle. So if you're looking for a more classic springy version of that polish, I think it's right here. It gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats, but if you have longer nails, you might need a third for this one. Next up we have Affairy to Remember, and this one is a soft, very slightly warm purple shimmer that has this really intense greenish kind of sparkle running throughout, and I love shades like this. I think that this one is so fun because this is the kind of polish that really looks good no matter how opaque it is, because there's no patchiness. So in one coat, it just gave me a really nice wash of color on the nails. It was just like a little extra sparkle, and having that purple base almost felt like a brightener for my nails. So it looks really beautiful. In 2 coats, it was still a little bit soft. You could see a touch of my visible nail line, but I did reach full opacity in 3 coats, and that's where it looked like the color that it is in the bottle. And I just think it's so stunning. It seems like it would be a streaky polish, but it really doesn't have any brush strokes once you apply it, so it's super beginner friendly. Next up we have the shade Riggin Love Hue, and this one is what I would describe as an orchid pink cream. So it's kind of a medium pink. It has a definite cool undertone to it where it almost looks a little bit purpley at certain angles, and it is a basic nice cream. It has a little bit of dustiness to it. It feels like a typical spring color. It's not my personal favorite, but the formula is really good, and I think it's just a nice classic shade to have on your nails. And then we have the shade Brewberry, and this one, let me tell you, I was very impressed with this because it did actually give me 1 coat full opacity. You can see even in just that first brush stroke, it fully covered up my visible nail line. It's so opaque and creamy. I ended up doing a 2nd coat just to show you, but I was really impressed with the formula of this color, and I feel like this would be perfect for nail art as well, just because it's so opaque. But it's just a really beautiful, deep pink kind of color, and it again just feels kind of like a classic shade to have on your nails, so it's always good to have a color like this in your collection. And then we have the shade Party of Hue, which is another pink cream shade, but this one is a little bit lighter and brighter. So this one is more of a typical Pepto-Bismol kind of pink color rather than the orchid shade that we just saw with Fig in Love Hue. And again, it's just a nice classic color, very smooth formula, very easy to apply. It gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. I feel like mainstream brands, especially the drugstore brands, always come out with a good variety of typical nail polish colors like pinks, so I'm not surprised to see a lot of options in this collection, but I do actually think it's really nice to have all of the different variations. And then we have the last pink cream of the collection. This one is called Pink and Outfit, and this one is slightly different as well because this is more of a peachy, almost salmon pink kind of shade. It's definitely very light and it feels more like a pastel kind of color, but it is a little bit more vibrant than that, so I feel like it's actually a pretty nice balance. I thought at first that 2 coats was a little bit sheer, but once it dried out, it leveled out really nicely, but I did end up going in with a 3rd coat anyway just to show you what that looked like. And I do think that it really just depends on how thick of a coat of polish you're doing. If you have my nail length or shorter, you can probably get away with doing 2 coats, but if you have longer nails, shades like this probably need at least 3 coats. Moving on, we have the shade Gel-ebrate and this one is a classic super vibrant orange cream shade, and I love this color. It was really impressive in the first coat. You could still see my visible nail line, but it almost had a little bit of a jelly-like finish, so it applied really smoothly and there wasn't any patchiness in that first coat, but I did get full coverage in the second. I think it's so bright and fun. It feels like a great springy shade bringing in the warmer weather, but I could also see this being a perfect summer color. And last but not least, we have the shade Twinkle Whites, and this one is an iridescent flaky polish. So you can see on the first coat, it's basically just a sheer base that has a ton of the tiny iridescent flakies in it that kind of shift around depending on how you look at them, but most frequently I'm seeing a lot of blue into purple, and then in areas where the light isn't hitting it, it almost gives a little bit of a yellowy tone. But I do find that the more opaque I make this color, the more I'm seeing the kind of white and blue and purpley shades. So I ended up getting nice coverage in 3 coats. You could still see my visible nail line, but it was very soft and it just feels like a very nice springy, almost bridal kind of color. And I also thought that this would be really fun to wear as a topper because I can never resist wearing iridescent polishes as toppers. So I actually ended up trying it over Brewberry because I thought that was just such a gorgeous deep shade. And I think this combination actually looks so stunning. It really brought out all of the purples of Twinkle Whites and it just looks like a fun topper to experiment with, but I also really like the way that it looked on its own. So here are all of the polishes together, and let me tell you, this color story really speaks to me. I feel like I'm not usually a big fan of pink creams, especially this time of year, because I find them to be just a little bit predictable, but at the same time, I do have to acknowledge that they are classic colors to wear in spring. So even though we did get 4 pink shades, which you can see on the right side, I think they all are really nice and they're just nice staple colors to have. And just overall, I think this color scheme really works for this time of year. It's very bright, it's very fun, but it still feels very typically springy to me. And I was really impressed with all the formulas. I found them all to apply really smoothly. They were all really self-leveling, and even as I was building up opacity, I didn't find them to be patchy at all. So definitely a very beginner-friendly formula here. And just overall, having mainstream drugstore polishes with formulas like this, it just feels very nice because it's very accessible to people and it's really easy to work with polishes like this. So overall, I am actually really impressed. So those are the polishes, and honestly, I am really pleased with these. I think the quality is super good. I think they apply really nicely, and I love this color story. I think this is just kind of my ideal color story. So I think the shades are really beautiful. I think it's super cute to have the little 10th birthday logo on them. And I have to say, out of all of the lines of Sally Hansen, I do think that Miracle Gel is my favorite. I personally like their brush the best. It's a nice wide flat brush, but it's not too wide. Personally, I think their Insta Dry line, even though I love it, that's probably my second favorite, I think their brush is just a little little too wide for me. And I also just think that the Miracle Gel line comes out with really beautiful colors, so I'm always kind of leaning towards those. So I do really enjoy the Miracle Gel line, even though it is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine that they call it gel. Now, as far as pricing and availability goes, all of these polishes come in 14.7 milliliter bottles, and like I said, they do have the wide flat brush. They are a drugstore brand, so they are available in a bunch of different drugstores, and the price does vary based on where you find them. I saw they're available in Target, online, and in store, and they retail for $9.79 USD each. They're also available on Amazon, but the price is a little bit higher on there. On Amazon, they retail for $12.99 USD. So I'm gonna link those down below. If I see them in any other online stores, I will also link them in the description. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these. What do you think of the Miracle Gel line in general? What do you think of these new colors? Are you planning on picking any of them up, or have you already? Leave it in the comments. We can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals Paula, Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. I found a website that has a bunch of different would you rather questions, and I thought it would be fun to share a few of those for my fun facts at the end of the videos. So I have a tame one for today, but some of them were getting really wild, so stay tuned. Today's would you rather question is, would you rather control fire or control water? And for me, I would definitely choose to control water. I think there's more power in being able to control water, just because, well, one, water is everywhere. It would be easier to call on your powers for that. But I think that water, in a sense, can also control fire. You know, if you're in a situation where there is a fire that you need to put out, you can just control the water to put it out. Maybe I'm simplifying that a little bit too much, I'm not really sure. But I just feel like there's more instances in life where you come across water than you come across fire, and I would like to be able to use my magic powers. So yeah, I would choose to control water. And also in the Avatar world, I feel like that means a lot more than just controlling water. I'm curious if anybody would pick to control fire instead of water, but definitely let me know in the comments. We can chat about it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.